Hello again. Today in this session, we'll be taking a look at Microsoft Operation Management Suite and taking a look at some of the integration or solutions available from the Operation Management Suite and also showing installing the agent and starting pushing data up to a particular workspace. So let's go ahead and get started. So here what we're looking at is the entry dashboard you'll get once you log into Operation Management Suite. So I've already done a few steps where I've signed in with my account, and I have a free data plan workspace, and obviously this is a new workspace. So let's take a look at some of the navigation elements here. So up here at the top, you just have a link back to your portal. So anytime where you're browsing through the portal, you can simply click on this link and bring you back to the main dashboard. Here you can change the how much data you want to be presented in any solution that you have added to your dashboard. Right now, I don't have any in this particular workspace. Up here in the this little bell icon here, just this where various different alerts and informational things may pop up in that area from time to time. You can click there to see those messages. Here where you can go and swap to different languages if you need to, if you have a primary language other than English. Here, this is the configuration icon. I won't click that now, so it's not going to jump into the configuration section. This button here is where you can kind of submit different feedbacks and see other issues that other customers have reported, as well as report your own. And then the question mark here is where you can jump into some of the documentation to look at that. And then if you click on your workspace name over here on the right hand side, you also see additional information where you can go and change your workspace, download the mobile OMS app if you want, get support, etc., as well as sign out. So over here on the left hand side, we have our home button. So right now I'm on the home dashboard since I don't have any solutions, so nothing is there. You have this little green plus here. This is the view designer where once you do have various different things added, you can create your own custom views and visualize the data that you collected in various different ways. If you click on the little magnification icon here, this will bring you over into the log analytics piece, where you can search and run various different queries, and then it also gives you some helpful information down at the bottom on how to some pre-built, pre-canned queries, and then there's some other getting started help over here on the right that you can run through. The next one that looks kind of like a shopping bag, this is where you can add your various different solutions. And so there's 4 high-level categories of solutions. So inside analytics, that'll help you troubleshoot applications, infrastructure issues, and collect various different logs and things across your environment. That includes 2 solutions, but there are other ones available, as you can see in here. Automation and control. That's where you can help automate things, be it on-premise or if you have it in the cloud. This is a good solution to have to start diving into those type of things. Security and compliance, so that's for auditing and security log and analytics and things like that. So you can capture security logs and things like that from your various different systems, and then OMS will provide some analytics on top of that and give you deep insights into various different security, particularly potential incidents that are happening in your environment, and looking at those trends over time as various different things happen. And then protection and recovery, that has more so like things for disaster recovery, backing up your systems and things like that to the cloud, where you can use Azure services as somewhat like as a third or a disaster recovery site for your environment. So let's take a look at over here on the right hand side of some of the solutions that's available, and actually let's add a few to the environment. Wanna add. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of a long list of various different solutions that are available. But during this, we're going to add a few key ones that I think they're kind of good baseline to kind of get your feet wet and start seeing different things in the environment. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add agent health. So go ahead and click on agent health, and that'll just kind of give me a kind of an overview of the overall health of the agents that I've opted into the service. So as I mentioned, right now I don't have any agents installed for this environment, but this just kind of give me an overview of what that is, whether it's a Linux agent, and over here on the right, just kind of what that'll visually look like once I do add it into the environment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit add there, and that'll go ahead and add that solution into my workspace and then visualize it on the dashboard. So I don't have any agents, as I keep mentioning over and over, so it won't actually show anything yet. So let's just go ahead and jump back over into the solution gallery again, and we're going to add alert management. So the alert manager, what that'll do, that'll visualize and aggregate your alerts that are occurring across your environment. So those alerts can originate in OMS, or you can actually integrate OMS with Operation Manager and get visibility to those alerts as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in. So right now, this work group is not, this workspace is not integrated with Operation Manager in any way, but that is something that you can do later down the line, and that's something I actually do plan to do with this particular workspace. All right, so let's go ahead. So it may take a couple seconds or minutes for it to pop up here, but eventually it should pop up and have a similar icon as we see for Agent Health. So let's go back into the solution gallery. Let's add a few more solutions here. So Active Directory Health Check, that may be a good one to have. So I do plan to add my Active Directory servers to this environment. So let's go ahead and let's add that as well. And what the Active Directory Health Check does, again, it'll take a look at your environment, your Active Directory environment overall, and then start giving you some best practice things that you may or may not be doing it, and give you a scorecard based on if you're doing those things or not, and those things that you aren't doing, or potential issues that it discovers once it analyzes your environment. It'll start giving you feedback on, okay, what the issue is, why you should fix it, and actually how to fix it. And that will continuously run against your environment and continually give you these recommendations over time as it runs within your environment. So let's go ahead and add that as another solution to the deck, to our bag of tricks. And let's go jump right back into the solution gallery. So yeah, we're going to just keep on adding other ones in. So as you can see, some of the solutions are in preview right now. It's Application Insight Connector. So Application Insights, that's another service that exists in Azure. It's not part of OMS directly, but you can leverage some of the data that's placed in that service within OMS to use the log analytics piece and other pieces of OMS to get deeper insights into things going on with those services. So a lot of other Azure specific things, I'm going to just skip by those since for the purpose of most of this, we're looking at mostly things that are like individual VMs or physical servers, either on-premise or in like Azure or AWS or Google's cloud, or wherever those systems live. That'll be our primary focus area. Capacity and performance, that's an interesting one that still in preview, so we probably won't use that one yet. So change tracking, so that may be a good one that we can maybe use. So let's go ahead and do change tracking. And let's see, this is saying it requires automation account, automation and log analytics, configure workspace. Let's see, what do I need to do for this? So it looks like I need an automation account actually to activate this, which I currently don't have. So we're gonna skip this one for now. Let's go ahead and close out of that and not do change traction just yet. So let me go back to the solution gallery again, and let's go ahead and add a few more solutions here. Let's see what else we have. Upgrade readiness, device health, those may be useful sometime in the future. Won't use those quite yet. DNS analytics, a lot of HD insights, logic apps. So I have quite a wide variety of options here. Have a System Center Operation Manager Health Check, also in preview currently. Security and Audit, Service Map, SQL Health Check. That one may be useful. SQL Health Check. Let's go ahead and see, can we add that one? Hopefully we don't need any additional accounts or anything for that. Yeah, look like we're good there. So this one will be very similar to the Active Directory one, but it'll just be from the perspective of SQL. So again, it'll kind of go through and perform a lot of best practice tests against our environment and see if we're adhering to those practices, or if it discovers any particular glaring problems and things like that. And it'll give you a scorecard, and then also the things that it finds, it'll tell you, point out, okay, these are the servers that are impacted by this particular issue. This is why you should fix it, and this is how you can fix it. So we'll go ahead and add that. So you can see here, a lot of these are they're starting to fill out. But as I mentioned, I don't have any data in my workspace yet, so these won't really do anything yet until I actually start having systems that have agents on them, and data from those agents start flowing up into the workspace. So looking back at the solution gallery yet again, let's see what else we can add that may be useful for us. So we have some Azure Site Recovery and Backup, Update Management. So that's like if you want to have OMS kind of automate your patching and things like and system updates over time. Let's see. Let's do wire data may be interesting. I believe that requires an additional agent. Service map does as well. But let's do security and audit. So let's just give me a little heads up now that so with security and audit, I guess after anything added after June 19, 2017, you would be billed per node regardless of the pricing tier. So right now I'm using the free data plan pricing tier. So that what that means after 60 days, it will actually start charging me for using this service per node that I have in the environment. So if you're doing this on your own like a free account or anything like that, just be aware that if you're going to use security audit, for example, it's only will be free for 60 days, whereas a lot of these other features that I've added so far, these will be free up to the like day update limit of 500 megabyte, and it'll keep that data for up to 7 days, and that's all completely free. Once you start breaching those limits, you can change your data plan and go to like a paid data plan. But when it comes to security audit, that doesn't apply. It's only free for the first 60 days. So let's go ahead and add that solution as well. It'll take a few moments here. All right, so now we have all of these various different solutions added. So like what else can we do? We still don't have any agents reporting here. So let's see what can we look at to see how can we do that. So this final icon here, this shows us usage of the various different solutions that we have in the environment. So as I mentioned, there's nothing in this environment yet. So this dashboard is it's not that interesting. It's pretty much completely blank right now. So as far as deploying agents, let's go ahead and click on this gear up here at the upper right hand corner. And here we can kind of see, similarly though, we can see those solutions that we just added as we were going through. We can see connected sources. So we can see here there's various different sources, but none of them are actually, there's no Windows computers currently connected. But there's a nice little link here to download the Windows agents. And then there's various different things here like the workspace ID, your primary and secondary key. So that you can think of these as like your secure passwords for accessing your workspace. So you definitely don't want to share those with anyone that doesn't need access to the account. And then finally at the bottom, it has a link to download an OMS Gateway. So the OMS Gateway is useful if you're in an environment where your servers that actually have the OMS agent on them don't have internet connectivity, direct connectivity to the internet. So what you can do, you can deploy an OMS Gateway within the environment, and that system can have access to the internet. And then you'll configure your other systems to deliver its data to the OMS gateway, and then the gateway will send its data up to the internet and to the OMS service. So that's how you can get around that. To get started, as far as downloading the agent, you just go ahead and download the agent from the link. You can download either the 64-bit or the Windows 32-bit agent. There's also agents available for Linux as well. That's the same concept. You just download the agent, install it, and then you point it to the appropriate workspace ID, which is depicted down here. Workspace ID. And that's another thing that you may not want to share that. I mean, you can't access it without having the appropriate username and password or the primary and secondary key. And you can easily generate a new one. So say if you accidentally shared your key with someone, you can regenerate it by just clicking the link, and that'll generate a new key for you. But a thing to be aware of, like if you do have agents out there using that old key, they will potentially lose connectivity once that key is invalidated. So that just keep those things in mind as you're using this. So before we jump into installing the agent on, we'll focus on just Windows servers for now. We'll just go ahead and touch base on a few other things. So you can connect various different Azure storage accounts to OMS, so you can have OMS collect data from other Azure services, and then that data becomes searchable, and you can run your own queries and generate alerts and things like that across the information that you find. And then, as I mentioned, you can connect System Center up, specifically Operation Manager. You can connect multiple Operation Manager management groups into here, and then again, alert data and things like that from Operation Manager on premise can roll up and be available and searchable through OMS. And then finally, you can enable Windows telemetry data to actually be sent to the portal as well. That's another thing that you can do. So from your Windows desktops and things that are collecting telemetry data, you can actually send that up to the portal, and then analytics and things can be applied on top of that to assist you and get insights on how various different things are being used, the overall health of your environment, overall health of your agents and your clients out in the environment, and use all of that information in whatever way you see useful for you. All right, so there's actually quite a bit more in here as far as like data, computer groups, counts, alerts, preview features, and things like that you can turn on and manipulate it with. But for right now, we'll just go ahead and jump over into the Windows server to a Windows server in my lab environment, and we will just go through the process of deploying a new agent out to the system. So here we are, we're over on a server within the environment. So this server is actually router 1 from the environment, and if you've been following any of this series up to now, this server is not a part of the domain, but it is serving as a router or a virtual router for the environment. We'll be installing one of the Operation Management Suite agents onto the system. So what I've done, I've already gone ahead and downloaded the agent, the 64-bit version of the agent, to this server, and I actually just renamed the file because I have a couple of different versions of the agent. So this is the latest version, so I just kind of named it the month and the year that I downloaded it to the system. So to go ahead and get started, we just double click on an agent and go ahead and run the setup. And get presented with this wizard. Go ahead and say next. Go ahead and read the software licensing terms for Microsoft Monitoring Agent, and go ahead and say I agree. It'll prompt us for a path where it's going to install. I will leave it at the default and click next. And now that we have a few options, so things that may not be immediately obvious is that you notice this says Microsoft Monitoring Agent. It doesn't say Operation Management Suite Agent. And the reason for that is that the same agent that Operation Manager uses to collect data and run tests and things like that is the same agent that Operation Management Suite uses. So as you can see here down at the bottom, there's options to connect to the agent to Azure Log Analytics or OMS, and there's options to connect the agent to System Center Operation Manager. So you can connect to one or both in the environment. The other thing, if you have systems already out in your environment that actually have the Operation Manager agent on it already, then you don't even need to install this one necessarily, because that agent already has capability to connect to Azure Log Analytics. Well, assuming that you're on a newer version of the agent, it should have capability to connect to a newer version of the Microsoft Monitoring Agent on your system. It already has capabilities to connect to OMS or Azure Log Analytics. So in this case, for this system, we'll just be connecting it up to Azure Log Analytics, OMS. Go ahead and click next. And now it's going to ask us for the workspace ID, workspace key. So those are those two things that I kind of showed a little bit earlier. And then you specify which Azure cloud are you connecting to. So there's Azure Commercial and there's Azure US Government. There also are other Azure clouds out there, but as far as support for OMS, I guess these are the only two that are currently supported today. Or unless there's a different setup way to connect to those other ones. I'm not aware of what those other options are, but for purpose of this, I'm connecting to an Azure commercial subscription. So I'll go ahead and put that in, and then I need to just apply my workspace ID. So if you recall back on that settings page, that's where you can copy and paste your workspace ID. So I'll go ahead and just do that here for mine. Go ahead and paste in my workspace ID. And then I also need to grab my primary or secondary key. You can use either one. Go ahead and put that in there. And then you have option if you want to configure proxy. So as you recall, when I was talking earlier, we were talking about the OMS Gateway. So like if you're going to use something like the OMS Gateway to connect out, this would be your time when you would put in the credentials and the URL for that gateway. So you can use that to connect up as opposed to going directly out to the internet. Oops, I don't want to cancel. I don't want to do a proxy either. So yeah, that's kind of weird there. So like there, instead of saying cancel, you actually need to click next to minimize that screen back down. But I'll go ahead and say next again. And I'll go ahead and say install. So this should only take a few moments here. So a few seconds, maybe a minute or so. It shouldn't take too long to install typically. In the case of this system, since this system is a router, it doesn't have direct connectivity per se to the internet, but it does have connectivity out to the internet. So it can get through it through a few other hops, a few other devices that's in the network, but eventually can end up out into the real public internet. All right, so now this agent is actually ready to go. So what will happen in the background is that this agent will go ahead and check into the workspace that we configured earlier, that we added those solutions to. It will start downloading configuration data from that workspace to say, okay, these are the solutions that are in this workspace. These are the things that I should run, and this is how I should do it. And then once it has that information, it will start sending information back up to the workspace, and then that data will be analyzed and visualized back in the OMS portal. So let's go ahead and jump back over to the OMS portal and see, can we see any changes yet? How long does it take before we actually start seeing that the agent has checked in and other things like that? So let's jump back over there. All right, so now we're looking back at our OMS portal, and as you can see, not much has happened yet. So we're not seeing any agent health data or anything yet. So it's going to take a few minutes for data to start showing up here. And for some of the solutions, it may take several hours for some of the data to show up. So for SQL Health Check, for example, it said it should take about 4 hours to start getting data into the system and analyze. And then from there forward, it'll run that test over and over again on the environment. However, I don't have a SQL server currently connected up into the workspace here. So actually still nothing will happen here for that solution. Nothing will happen on the Directed Health Check solution as well. So the system, as I mentioned, the system we deployed the agent on is a router. So that system will turn on, start reporting agent health, and then some core metrics and things like that will start being collected on it as those things start activate. So let's go ahead and jump back into the configuration screen here. So over here, there's this data section. So in the data section, you can configure it to collect various different system logs that are occurring on your system and your environment, for example. So if you click the little plus here, that's how you add it. But what you can do, if you kind of know the name of the log that you want, as you start typing, it'll start showing you some of those common Windows logs that the system itself is aware of. So like the system log is a very common one. So if I type system there, hit the plus, then I can have this go ahead and start collecting the system logs on any Windows systems that I add into the environment. So I can have it collect all of the information, so everything, anything that's error, warning, or informational, or I can scope it down and say, hey, maybe I only want to have it collect the error messages and maybe not the warning or informational, or maybe just the errors and the warnings and not the informational, or just maybe it's informational. It just depends on what your needs are. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to leave it as all three, just so we can get some data in here from the one router, one system that have been added. And as I mentioned, there's other logs, so I can do, oh, you could do security log, but typically for security logs, it's probably better to actually use the security and audit feature. That's a lot better solution as far as analyzing security logs and giving you some good insights into what's going on with the environment. That's the better route to go for that particular log. Let's see, this is a router, so maybe there's some type of network one. I'm not really sure what the name of it would be. Some with network there. Let me just try the word router. Nope, nothing there. Route, nope. Yeah, we'll just stick with system for now. So let's go to Windows performance counters. So here is that where you can collect any Windows performance counter. So any counter that you can find in per performance monitor, that's a counter that you can collect and have that data be visible and searchable, and you can make it visual through the OMS portal once you've collected that data. You can see here there's some basic core counters that that's kind of pre-selected that you can enable, and that'll apply and enable across all of your devices or Windows servers that you have out into the environment. So I probably don't want all of these. I'll forget it. I'll just go ahead and add all of them. And then you can configure the sample interval. So by default, you see it says 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds approximately, it'll go and try to sample and report these values back to the portal. And then that data will be available for you to parse. So for my purpose, I don't really need it to be that frequently. I don't really need real-time performance monitoring and metrics right now. So I'm going to dial this way back to about 300 seconds. So maybe, yeah, 300 seconds. So for all of these. So I'm going to be collecting these values about every 5 minutes or so. So I'm just going to dial all these back to 300. All right. And then up here in the corner here, I can say save. So to go ahead and save those changes to my workspace. And like I said, what will happen in the background, any agents that are connected up to this workspace will they'll eventually see that change, and they'll start collecting the system log as well as these Windows performance counters that I have selected here. So there's a few other things you can do. Won't dive into any of these other ones, but there's a lot of other options here for different type of data you collect. So let's go ahead and jump back to our home screen and see if we have any updates yet. So Agent Health, it actually has a graphics here now, but it still says total count of agent is 0. So it's quite not ready yet still. So as I mentioned, it takes a little while before this shows up. So it's not an instant gratification thing. I guess when you're first setting up, it's going to take a little time for the agents to start checking in and it to show up visually in the graphics here. But jump back to the configuration one more last time. Go to connected sources. Yeah, so it's still saying 0 here, so we have a little bit more time to wait before that'll show up and be available. But starting to see some data on security and audit though. So like some of the solutions are kind of becoming a little bit active faster than others. So security and audit appears it does see the one agent that I have deployed, and it's saying, hey, it sees that one active computer. Agent Health is still showing nothing. And in alert management, that's showing nothing since I don't have any alerts configured, and I also am not connected to Operation Manager yet, so that also won't have any data to present me back anything. Same for SQL Health Check as well as Active Directory Health Check. I'll need to add more things to actually start seeing that. So let's go and just take a look at what security and audit has found. So there's only been a few minutes after we've installed the agent, and well, maybe about what 7-8 minutes, because I'm kind of doing this in pretty much in real time here. Let's see what we got. So a little bit of stuff is starting to show up. So computers with security events 1, computer with systematic policy change. So let's see what that's saying. So as you click into that, it just kind of go ahead and visualize the number of computers that are matching that particular event. So it found that event ID 4719 and one of the logs somewhere on that system, and that I guess indicates that there's some type of audit policy change or something on the system that is detected, and then that's actually showing that here. So router 1. So that router 1 computer definitely is starting to report in data, and you can kind of visualize as a chart. You can go to the table. Over on the left hand side, you these will be clickable to drill down into different categories. So you can see the count was workgroup / router 1, so the computer account did something, and then over here you can change the data, how large of a scope of data or how small of a scope of data you want to look at, the last day, last 7 days, last 6 hours, or you can do a custom range as well. Alright, so hopefully this has been useful. Just kind of showing you a quick overview on how to, number one, how to add solutions to your operation management suite workspace, and then also how to opt in a agent manually through just manually installing the agent and specifying your workspace ID as well as your key to access the workspace. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.